All right, welcome back again. Your warm-up is just to tell me in question number 1 which two figures are congruent, and question 2 which two are congruent, okay? You can tell if two triangles are congruent by some very specific examples, okay? Now you may have heard of this before. You're really going to talk about it in geometry though, okay, a lot. But this just kind of is going to give you a chance to really look at it, okay? So there's the side angle side test, okay? You can kind of see my picture. I have a side that's congruent to another side, an angle congruent to another angle, and another side congruent to another side. And notice how I said side angle side, and when I touch each of them, side angle side, they go right in order, right? Side angle side. So if the angle was way over here, that wouldn't work because I'd have side, side, angle, okay? And that's not good. Side angle side. So this is just like a definition of what it says. Two pair of corresponding sides, so that's this side, this side, this side, this side, and the included angle. So included angle means it's between the two sides, okay? Again, if it were way over here, it's not perfectly between the two sides, right? It has to be touching both the two sides, okay? So if you are given two sides and an angle between them, then without even all the information, I know the two triangles are congruent, okay? So you actually only need 3 pieces of information to tell for sure if two triangles are congruent. Now another one is the angle side, or angle side angle, okay? Basically what that means is we have two angles with a side in between them. So if you look at these two pictures, these are separate pictures here. We have angles that are congruent, a side that's congruent, and another angle. And the side is in between them. But we can also have angle side. So two angles right next to each other and then the next side, okay? Two angles with the next side, okay? So this is called the angle side or angle side angle. Now this is a lot of letters to remember and things like that. The one thing you can remember, if it spells a bad word going frontwards or backwards, that is not a congruence test. That does not work, okay? So it's kind of your hint to remember, okay? And then the final one is side, side, side. If they tell you each side is congruent to another side, okay, then you know the triangles are congruent. So the side, side, side is the easiest one to remember, okay? Now again, they have a special test if a triangle is a right triangle. They have what's called the hypotenuse leg test. So none of these 3 that I showed you have to be right angles, but this last one does. This is called the hypotenuse leg test. So if there's a 90-degree angle and the hypotenuse is congruent to the hypotenuse and one of the other legs is congruent to each other, then we know that the triangles are congruent, okay? So you can use this to start proving triangles are congruent, okay? So it says find congruent triangles if ABC is a parallelogram. Now you need to know about a parallelogram. Remember, a parallelogram, the opposite sides are congruent and parallel, okay? So if I look, I can kind of see two triangles forming here, right? And I want to prove that they're congruent to each other. So I'm going to use my little tick marks. I know that this side is congruent to this side, because it's a parallelogram. I know the definition of parallelogram says the opposite sides are congruent to each other. I also know that DC is congruent to AB because of a parallelogram, right? Now if I were to actually split these triangles up, I could say that AC is congruent to itself because AC is always going to be the same length, right? So if I were to actually separate out these triangles here and draw them right next to each other, just like this picture, but kind of give just a little bit of a point. D, A, C, C, A, B. Just a little separation. I can see all my tick marks here. Okay, and I can actually see the congruent triangles now because I have a side, another side, and another side that's congruent. So by side, 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 I know that triangle ABC, now this is what comes important, is congruent to triangle. So I said ABC. So I need to go, let's look here. So I started with AB. So I started with my two-sided, okay? So I did ABC. So I need to go CDA. Okay, because I went to the 2-prong to the 1-prong. Okay, if I'd gone 2-prong to the 3-prong, I would have said DCA. Okay, so that's kind of how you can prove two triangles are congruent to each other using a parallelogram. So sometimes they're going to give you the congruent pieces and say, is it congruent? Sometimes they're going to give you something like this and say, can you find the two triangles that are actually congruent to each other? And they might put more than two triangles on, so it might not be obvious right away. Plus, you need to check to see what sides are actually congruent so you can put this label correctly, okay? Again, this is super important. I'm going to be looking for this, okay? That this is in the right order, okay? Have a wonderful day. Go ahead and try the homework. Again, I'll post it on RenWeb and on the whiteboard, okay? I just forgot to put it in the notes. Have a great day. Bye.